All right, guys. So did a couple of trades. Overall, I'm pretty happy about my performance. The only thing is, we'll talk about it when I get to it. So let's see here. So BBT. Let's see what I did for BBT. So at 9:35, I went for the opening range breakup. I saw that it was holding this level pretty well. What is this? The 5073 higher highs. So I really thought it was going to hit 5150. So I took a small position, 500 shares, 5126. And as it popped, I started to scale out, and I scaled out a bit more aggressively here at the 51.5 level, because oftentimes you see this is it will pop up near that region and then it would either hit it and keep on running up, or it would hit it and come back down, which is the case here. So it hit it, and on the way down I basically exited my entire position. So that's the first trade, and then I let it watched it fall. So I was trading some other stock as it fell. Probably could have taken a reversal, taken a short here once it crosses VWAP. Although then I would have to survive this pullback. But either way, what happened was then I waited for a bit, saw that it was making a lower lows consistently on the 5 minute. And then when it made a new 15-minute low, so if you look at the 15-minute chart here, it started to make a new 15-minute low. So that's when I went short again. It went down, so I covered some here, and then on the way back up, I covered, because I have a rule of not letting it run past my break even. And then on the flip side, I went short again. It popped up. So here, I went short, it popped up, so I covered for a small loss. And then it never really broke this EMA. So as it was coming back down again, given the fact that the stock was really weak, and the fact that this stock actually was a gapper, it gapped up overnight. I knew it was, most of the time when that happens, they would try to revert back towards the to close the gap. They would probably try to revert back towards the averages that they maintain, the daily averages. So what I did was I went short again, but it popped up, so I covered, so break even. I don't think I made any money there. And then it dropped yet again, and so at this point I went short, but heavy size, 1,000 shares. I covered here, it dropped, I covered some more, and then on the way back up, I basically exited my position. Even though I had a very small size, so that's why I exited by that time. I didn't want this to run against me. It's pretty far down. Since it gapped up for a reason, so my rationale was maybe it would just keep running up, but as you can see, it did not. It just kept on falling until it hit 48.97, and now it's doing a reversal. So that's that. It is what it is. Yeah, this SMA is coming down, so it is what it is. So made some money on the short side and on the long side. And then NXPI. So NXPI, I was going for opening range breakout. So I saw that it dropped. It held this level on the way up. I went long, went up. I survived this pullback, but I think I took a very small size on NXPI, like 200, 300 shares. On a pop up, I basically exited because this was really, really choppy. And then again, when I saw that it dropped, but it held this level, and especially here when it did this drop and this long wick, I knew that there was a lot of good buying pressure. So went long again here. As it popped up, I sold. I should have held it a bit. I think if I held it for another couple seconds, it would have popped up to this level. I had some shares left, maybe 100 shares or so. That's still a pretty nice profit, but I did not. I'm more risk adverse nowadays when I do my trade, so I exited my position. So that was NXPI. STI 945, 945. Okay, so I purposely waited. So here it did so this was the opening range. This long wick kind of showed that it may have buying pressure. This long wick up here shows like there's selling pressure, and then it dropped. So this is a huge engulfing pattern. I would have went short here if it weren't for this moving average. So I wanted to see if it would break that moving average first, and then here, which corresponded to this level, it looked like it was going to. So I went short. I purposely told myself that I would I always keep my stop losses pretty tight. So if it were to go past this wick, I probably would have exited. I didn't want to go all the way up here. But for me at that time, it was because it was showing a lot of selling pressure. I went short 500 shares. It dropped. I covered. And then it looked like it was going to pop back up. So I covered some more. Otherwise, it would have went to my break even anyway. I would have exited. So exited here. As you can see, it did go up and then it dropped back down a bit. And then did make this bigger pullback. However, if I were to follow the stock after this pullback on the way down on the short side, probably would have taken another short position at this level. That would have been another good entry just to ride the stock down again. STI is one of those where it gapped up, and on the daily chart, if you look at it, it's right at this strong resistance level, so it's going to have a hard time breaking it. So the chances are, like the way it is right now, it's gapping down. 15 minute, as you can see, it formed a new 15-minute low, so that's where I went in as well. These are fairly good indicators of where the stock would go, so kind of like that. Went short. That was a good call. And the MGNX was a little bit crazy. Let's see, what did I do here? So I basically only took 2 trades on MGNX, and it got a little scary, but not too much. So let's see what happens here. So I saw that it broke through. This is like the last trade of the day. I saw that it broke through this level. I was hoping it would go back to VWAP, right? So I went long. It popped up. I should have exited some at around this level since it struggled, but I did not take any profit. It went back down. I was watching it because sometimes it does this. It would go down, drop a bit, and then shoot back up. That was what I was thinking this stock would do, so I added to my position. That's 1,000 shares. It bounced around a bit, and then it finally lost this level. So my thinking at this point was, okay, so this is the at that time, this was basically the level it was holding for quite a while, right? So this is 2411 level. So I told myself, if it loses that level, if it struggles at this level and it maintains it, it can pop back up. So I had some hopes of it popping back up at this point, but it started to continue to move downwards. So I told myself, if it drops below the $24 mark, then this is going to be this stock is going to be weak. It's going to be a short. And so that's essentially what happened. It dipped below that. So I exited my position and I doubled up on the short position. So I took 2,000 shares. As you can see, this got kind of scary for a bit because it struggled at this level, and I nearly exited here. I told myself if it were to go back up to hit some of its previous numbers here, like the 2430s, I would have exited and basically take a loss, my max loss, right? So it would be like $500-600, and I would have been done for the day. I think at this point I was down $200. But it held this level, and when I saw that it could not make a new, it could not break through this at all, I touched it and it went back down. That's when I knew it was going to be a short, and then it continued to fall, and I covered a little too much here because of how big the spread was and whatnot. I didn't want this because the stock gapped up yesterday. It's gapping down today. But again, it had some good news, so I don't want this to keep on running up. So I covered a bit too much. Whenever it struggles at a specific level, I usually exit, and so that's what I did. And as you can see, if I were to keep some, it continued to move further down. So in retrospect, if I were more patient, I should have kept like 200-300 shares and just basically ride the momentum down until it showed signs of a reversal. But I wasn't patient enough to do that, so I ended the day 258.75 in profit, 42 tickets, 61.60. So overall, not as clean as yesterday. Some scary bits thrown in between, but so far, my faith in looking at various time frames works. The only part is I should not have. I was a bit impatient. Should not have went 2,000 shares here. A good entry would be when it somewhere around here when it showed that it had a hard time making a new 1 minute high. So probably at around this area would be good. I have a feeling I would have, watching it, I probably would have re-entered maybe here or here. But this would be a perfect entry. If you can enter right here, that would be great. Or maybe even at the top of this candlestick, as opposed to here. Price would be the same. Knowing myself, I might have entered here. If I was more patient, I would have entered here. This would have been good. So it's one of those things that you learn from experience. Nonetheless, it is what it is. I'm overall okay with my choices, my decisions.